Hey y'all, well, I was trying to do this live, but my camera said can't, tap to retry. I'm like, screw it, I ain't even going there with it. But I'm just trying to make this into a few minutes. So I was trying to translate the names back into the German, Yahweh back into the German. So I took Yahweh and put Yahweh into the English and tried to see if it translated back into German, and it did. So the end result was Yahweh, but it started with a J, A-H-W-E, and as we know that they don't say the letter J, they say it as a Y. They don't say the letter W as a W, they say it as a V. So, if it was a V, it would be a W. If it was, a Y, it might be a J. I don't know, vice versa. So I tried that with it, and of course, sure enough, it was Yahweh. That's the way the little speaker thing pronounced it, Yahweh. And so, anyway, I thought it was particularly funny because that name is not in the Bible. That name is not in. I mean, if Yahweh was supposed to be Jehovah, you would think that that name would be in the Bible, right? German Bible critics would have changed a long time ago, before the 1800s. The people who were German, that is, would have said, hey, look, if we can have Messiah as Messias, that's what that is. You take Messiah and you put it in the English and you put it into the German, it says Messias. That's what's in the Bible. That's what's in the King James Bible. Same thing with like Elijah. You go from Elijah and you put it in the English and it translates into the German as Elias. How about that? Can you believe that? But yet, there's no name for Yahweh other than Jahwe. And that's not even the name that's in the Bible. It's Jehovah. And whenever you put Jehovah in the English, it's only missing one letter, and that's the H on the very end. And I'm not even sure. I think it pronounces Jehovah, the little speaker thing, but maybe it didn't. But see, Yahweh wasn't even a word back then. W-A-H-W-E-H wasn't even a word. And that might be the way we pronounce it or show it in the English, but not even Jahwe or Yahweh, whatever you want to call it, J-A-H-W-E is in the Bible, an authorized version. So just because people want to call the Lord God by his name in another way does not, today doesn't mean it's going to be in the Bible for there's no validation for it, in other words. So when you think about all these other words, all these theophoric names, their names have not been changed. Jehoshaphat, Elijah, or this Elias, or Elihu, or whatever, or not Elihu, but what was the name of Jonah? Is Jonas, and all this other stuff. Just, hey, those names weren't changed, so why are you trying to change Jehovah? Being those names, all those names are theophoric names of Jehovah. Why you just, so you try to change the root source of all the names, but don't even change the names that it affected. Does that make sense to y'all? It don't make sense to me. You're trying to change the name of Jehovah, and Jehovah is a root source for all these biblical names, theophoric names with the name Jehovah. So if you change all those names, and if you don't change all those names, and you only change the root of all these names, how smart is that? But that's what German Bible critics want to do. That's what they wanted to do back then. is get the name of Jehovah out of the way. It didn't matter about any other names, the other names. Jehoshaphat, Abijah, Elijah, Nehemiah, Ezekiel, all these names with God's name in them, the theophoric names. Adonijah, and all the rest of them. Jehoiakim, that's a good one. They didn't worry about all those. But now, a Jew might pronounce it Jehoiakim, Jehoshaphat, with a Y. Now, but they won't say the name of Jehovah, which is the root name of all these names, which came off Jehovah's name, God's name. That just doesn't make sense to me. And I think it's particularly troubling because it seems that they don't want to do this for whatever reason to say God's name as Jehovah, because if they were to admit that, maybe they would see that somehow or another that Jesus Christ is Lord. So they don't admit Jesus Christ as their Lord. They will one day, but not today. So because Jesus said, I am that I am, and his name is Jehovah. Jehovah is salvation. Jehovah saves. That's his name. And that's what Jesus means. I tell you what, you put I am in French, you take it and you put I am in English and you translate it to French, what do you get? You get Je suis. It's Jesus. So try it for yourself. It's so cool. It's so amazing. Put I am in English and translate it from I am in English to French. What do you get? Je suis. Je suis, whatever you want to call it. And it's Jesus. That I am, the great I am. And the great I am is who? Jehovah is salvation. Jehovah is salvation. That's who he is. He is the great I am. He is strong and mighty. So it's not Yahweh. It's not Yehovah. It's Jehovah with a silent, soft G. Not silent, but soft G. And nobody was around over 2,000 some odd years ago to hear whether it was Yehovah or Jehovah, or further back than that, really. And there was no law that says nobody could pronounce the name of Jehovah. It's the law that the Jews made. It's the law that they made, along with going to the Wailing Wall and making all these ultra-Orthodox things up, all these regulations. And it tells us in the Bible that God is not about all these laws and regulations. He wants people to do justice and love mercy, and to watch out for the poor, and stand up for the rights of the widow. That's what he wants us to do. That's what he regards. He doesn't regard all these rules or regulations, all these feasts and all that other stuff, but that's what they're still going to do because they're Jews, and that's how they bond with God. And so one day they're going to do that because that's what they want to do. But there's nothing in the Bible that says you cannot pronounce the name of Jehovah. Jehovah. Not Yehovah, not Yahweh, not Yahweh. Jahwe. And a lot of these words in the Bible are German, but there's nothing in them that says that you have to call it Jehovah, Jahwe. And there are a lot of them that are German, like I said, Messiah, Elias. They're in the Bible, but none of them have nothing to do with Jehovah as Yehovah or Yahweh. Anyway, just want to put that in there real quick. God bless. Gotta get home, get some sleep. See you later.